What happens if a situation arises that you were unprepared for? A situation such as a blizzard, a tornado, or being locked down due to a virus. Put yourself in any possible situation that could arise. Now ask yourself, what would you do? Where would you go? What do you need? Are you ready? Because what if tomorrow? Welcome to another episode of the What If Tomorrow podcast. I'm Philip.
And I'm Mark.
And here we talk about everything, anything that could possibly happen tomorrow. Simple enough as the name. The name says it all. Minus all the fringe stuff. We moved it over to on the fringe. But here we talk preparedness. We talk news. Anything that relates to our daily lives. We share our thoughts. We give recommendations. We give ideas on things on how to prepare for any given circumstance, and tonight's show is no exception. First things first, though, we kind of do our spiel each week if you're new here, and that's kind of why I'm throwing this out here, because everybody that listens regularly knows what we do. First things first, though, do us a favor, check us out, whatiftomorrowmedia.com. And yes, when you go there, it's going to be kind of an aged-looking website, because I have yet to get with Joe, because I've kind of dropped the ball. But we've been busy the last month. We're trying to catch up and get some things changed around. We've got some shirts and stuff we want to throw on the website, all that stuff. But do us a favor, check out our affiliates over there. We got Duke Cannon. We've got My Patriot Supply, which tonight's show is no different. We're going to talk a little bit about food preparedness. And this will actually help you basically take out insurance for you and your family to have food. We're all aware of what's going on with possible food shortages coming. And I think as winter goes on and the world kind of starts falling apart a little bit more, you're going to realize you need it. So please do yourself a favor. Get you some emergency food, whether it be through us, although we would appreciate it, but there's multiple choices out there. Go help yourself. Check out EMP Shield. Possibly tonight, with what we talk about tonight, may have an effect. Protect your home, protect your vehicle, your RVs, your ATVs, all that good stuff through an EMP Shield. It attaches directly to your vehicles or your home through your breaker box, and it's supposed to absorb a huge lightning strike. If you're new to this show, if you haven't been around for a while, a couple years ago, like right before we started the show, my home got hit by by lightning. I could have used one. And we've also got Conflicted the Game. If you want to challenge yourself, if you want to challenge those around you, pick up a deck of this. Conflictedthegame.com. Coupon code What If. We've played it here. If you want to check it out, kind of see what goes on, we've played it here on the show. You can go back and listen to some of the older recordings. I believe we have one episode up on YouTube as well. And speaking of YouTube, do us a favor, like and subscribe over there. Help us grow our channel. If you're not a YouTube watcher, which I have a hard time understanding that, but I respect that because I have a hard time not watching it, but I don't like it, if that makes sense. I'm kind of, I don't support it, but that's where all the good stuff is right now.
It is.
If you go check it out, check out the game. It'll explain the game and kind of give you some ideas, because, man, it's some serious challenges to your thinking, challenges to your beliefs. And it may reaffirm some of your beliefs. What would you do? And it's a good fit for the podcast. It's kind of a what if,
it really is.
Podcast. Moving on. I'm kind of moving a little bit fast because we want to get through this. We have a lot to cover tonight. But Mark seemed to have done a little more news research than I have, even though tonight's topic does really pertain to what's going on in the news. But I'm going to hit it, Mark.
All right.
What in the wide world is going on here?
All
The
right.
world is nuts, is what's going on.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm just going to kind of cruise through. I've got a couple of news websites up here. I'm going to cruise through some of the headlines. We won't go into them in depth, but I mean, they kind of speak for themselves. Biden says he was sort of raised in a Puerto Rican family. Okay. Well, let's look into that. I I really don't get it. I mean, for someone who's so racist. Uh, yeah, he said he was sort of raised in a Puerto Rican community on the US mainland. Um he really didn't have anything Puerto I don't get it. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Delaware, he said. All
Yes.
right. Well, hey, I'll give him that one. There are Puerto Ricans in Delaware. There's Puerto Ricans in Kansas. It does not mean I was raised in a Puerto Rican community, although I love the Puerto Rican people and they can cook, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So, we're scrolling on down here.
Well, is that all you have about President Biden?
That's all I have about Biden.
Well, since you're on that, that's kind of a good segue into what we were talking about backstage. Do you all remember? I mean, did you guys know that there's a vaccine for a hurricane?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, the
Of
president
course
said
there
so.
is.
I mean, I've got him at his own words. So I'm going to share this. Um, my wife, that's probably where he met Corn Pop. He was apparently a bad dude. I'm going to share this real quick. Hey, I hit the audio in there. Now I'm just going to play this because this is El Presidente saying to get
Let me
vaccinated.
be clear. If you're in a state where a hurricane
Mike,
is
can
off
you
the
hear that?
strike, like Florida or the Gulf Coast or into Texas, a vital part of
you
preparing
hear
for
that?
hurricane season is to get vaccinated now.
What you just said is one of the most.
Did you hear that, Mark?
I heard that. That was funny.
Because I couldn't hear it through here.
Okay, well, it
Did
came
you?
through, so
Did it come through?
yeah.
All right. Yeah. You know, he's saying so to protect yourself from a hurricane, get vaccinated. I didn't realize that we had a hurricane vaccine. I mean,
I mean, that's amazing, isn't it?
it is
I'm
amazing.
I'm sure so many people are going to rush right out there and get that. Then they can be like our airplane pilots, uh, and Air Force pilots who can no longer fly because they have heart damage from the vaccine.
Right.
Yeah, isn't that great? Let's see. Some of these are just too funny not to share. Justin Bieber caught with his pants down at Swanky Golf Club. Pictures to prove it. He's taking a leak behind a tree. Give the guy a break. Everybody's done it. He just got caught.
Chris.
Give the guy a
Chris
break.
put, oh my gosh, I wonder if there's one for Kansans against tornadoes.
Oh, let's go get it now. Let's see. Let's switch over to Newsmax. Newsmax had some not quite so funny one. Tony Schaefer says that lax U.S. weapons stockpile exposed U.S. weakness, and he's right. We have a low weapons stockpile. Not only did we have a low stockpile, we're apparently giving it all to Ukraine, who is selling 2/3 of it on the black market.
Yep.
To our enemies. That's fun. Oh, not only that, we gave it away to the Taliban. A huge part of our stockpile. So,
And Facebook user. So what we need are vaccines from the political class stupidity. Absolutely.
there actually
Not,
is a vaccine for that. There is a vaccine for that. It's called the Article 4 of the Constitution
yes.
for a convention of the states. So,
Yep.
yes, we do have that. It is a thing.
We need herd immunity from it. So
Herd immunity from it. Let's see. According to Representative Gohmert, it's Sodom and Gomorrah at the FBI. Well, there's been a lot of whistleblowers at the FBI talking about, how the Democrats have weaponized the FBI.
yeah.
Most other things. So yeah, there's that. Uh, Ukraine is making sweeping advances, and Kherson may fall, and a Russian collapse is possible. Well, that just kind of drives home what we're going to talk about later. I mean, that could
Yep.
be the thing that sets it off. Um, let's see. Uh, Judge denies GOP appeal for signature checks on mail ballots. You got to have an ID to drive your car. Got to have an ID now to pretty much do anything, but you don't have to have one to vote. That seems counterproductive.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, this one is a little late in coming, but Poland demands 1.3 trillion in war damages from Germany.
Yeah, that's pretty late. From
Yeah,
World War One or World War Two.
Yeah, it took a while. Let's see. The Dow Jones is up for now. In other news, Putin and the OPEC have gotten together, and they are planning on reducing the flow of oil to raise prices in the United States and hurt the United States. And this should come to a head right after the election.
Yep.
Because apparently sources say that that trip to Saudi Arabia that the president made was to beg Saudi Arabia not to raise the price on oil until after the election.
Right. And that kind of leads us in to tonight's show because it's all part of it, I think.
It really does.
I blame our president for
I
all
blame
of it.
his handlers.
He
It's
has
dementia.
agenda-driven.
He has nothing to do with this.
Right. Absolutely right. It's agenda-driven. From day one, the United States, the people of the United States have been able, the people who have a thought in their head have seen this. They've seen this agenda that's being shoved on our, down our necks.
Before the election.
He said what he was going to do, and he did it.
He's absolutely doing it.
Yeah. So it's all agenda driven. And if anybody's surprised by it, they're fools. I'll say that up front. That kind of leads us into the turbulence tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about the possibility, and we might even touch on our thoughts of the likelihood of World War III happening. Because if you pay even the slightest bit of attention to the news, we're knocking on the door.
Yep.
I don't know. Right. I don't know how close to midnight we are on the doomsday clock. I haven't looked that up. Maybe we ought to. But with this whole Nord Stream pipeline, I really believe it's kind of a Reichstag event that led into, and I'll go into it, or a Franz Ferdinand moment. And I'll run some history down and I'll explain to you why I think this is what it is.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to cough. My sinuses are kind of draining him.
Yours and mine both, buddy.
Right. Archduke Ferdinand. He was assassinated in 1914.
He really was not that major of a player either.
No, it wasn't. But and I'll run down, and I'll even share it that way you can see what I'm talking about here. This is just kind of a history that, and like I said, I want you guys to have a good understanding as to why I kind of think this is kind of the same thing. On June 28, 1914, an 18-year-old student named Gavrilo Princip fired a pistol in Sarajevo, Bosnia, and changed the world. Princip, a Serbian nationalist enraged by the annexation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, I can't talk tonight, Herzegovina by the Austro-Hungarian Empire, had assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand, presumptive heir to the empire's throne, and his wife, the Duchess of Hohenberg, as they rode in a motorcade. Ferdinand was aware of the danger. Early that day, he deflected a bomb hurled at him by another would-be assassin, the Times reported. Many contemporary accounts say the bomb actually bounced off his car. He was traveling to visit people injured in that blast when he was killed. Okay. And it says, after the assassination, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Soon, Europe and much of the world spiraled into war as one country after another, enmeshed in a web of previously established alliances, took sides either with Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and their allies, or the allies, France, Britain, Russia, and others, including eventually the United States.
Yeah, apparently Ferdinand was not a popular guy. 2 attempts in one day.
Right.
And
now, I mean, now I'm going to talk about the Reichstag fire. You guys can see here, it says on February 27th, 1933, the German Parliament Reichstag building burned down. The Nazi leadership and its coalition partners used the fire to claim that communists were planning a violent uprising. They claimed that emergency legislation was needed to prevent this. The resulting act, commonly known as the Reichstag Fire Decree, abolished a number of constitutional protections and paved the way for Nazi dictatorship.
Including the right to bear arms was revoked.
Right. Yeah, they claim, I'm just kind of skimming through, picking out some things here. They claim through the emergency legislation was needed to prevent, somebody derailing Germany's national renewal. Commonly known as the Reichstag Fire Decree, the resulting act for the protection of the people and state, remember that, abolished a number of constitutional protections and paved the way for Nazi dictatorship. Using emergency constitutional powers, Adolf Hitler's cabinet had issued a decree for the protection of the German people on February 4th, 1933. The decree placed constraints on the press, and authorized the police to ban political meetings and marches, effectively hindering electoral campaigning. A temporary measure, it was followed by a more dramatic permanent suspension of civil rights following the February 27th burning of the Parliament building. So, I mean, it's all propaganda.
Yeah.
It's all propaganda. If you look at where we are right now as a nation, you see nothing but propaganda, whether it be through the World Economic Forum, our own government, which is all hand in hand.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not separating the two. They're all part of it. They're pushing an agenda. It's pretty sobering to think about. Now, with this Nord Stream pipeline, look at the fingers being pointed because
everybody's pointing at everybody else.
Right. And I can show you in documentation I found. But with the Reichstag fire, the Nazis were pointing at the counterparty, and the counterparty was pointing at the Nazis and this and that. They never really determined if I believe right. I didn't really read all the article, but if I believe right, it was actually the Nazis that set the fire.
It's called a false flag event.
Absolutely, Kurt. Said history does repeat itself. You just have to recognize the patterns. Absolutely. And yes, Mark, you're right. It's a false flag or a black swan.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what this Nord Stream pipeline is. It's a black swan event. Let me look it up so you guys can explain it.
Click. And sorry, it looks like my camera keeps cutting in and out. I must have a loose connection in the back.
You got a loose connection somewhere. I don't think it's your camera.
I might have a few loose connections. I actually think it might be a few loose. Something's loose.
Sorry, I couldn't avoid it.
I mean, you got to call him as you see him, man.
I know it.
I'll own it.
All right, the Black Swan theory. Okay, the Black Swan theory or theory of Black Swan events is a metaphor that describes an event that comes as a surprise, has a major effect, and is inappropriately rationalized after the fact with the benefit of hindsight.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So think about that. With everything that's going on, especially with Nord Stream right now, you're cutting, and I don't have the sound bites. I didn't have a lot of time to throw this on because of some of the stuff I heard today. But it sounds like some of our officials are saying, hey, they're not coming out and saying it was us. And I'm not pointing a finger saying it was them. But I pray that it wasn't our government.
Right. You don't know these clowns.
Right. You know, the Nord Stream pipeline, in case you don't know, if you're not aware of what's going on, I want to say there was aircraft coming from, was it Swedish aircraft? Something. It's from one of the European countries over there. I can't remember offhand. They were flying their route or whatever patrol, and they saw all this place has been blown up on this pipeline, and it provided natural gas from Russia to Germany.
Yeah, to a lot of Europe, actually.
To a lot of Europe, yep. And now, you know, some of our officials, you know, U.S. officials are saying, oh, you know, it's a good thing, you know, because now Western Europe can now shift to more of a green plan. And you guys have heard us talk about this before with the World Economic Forum, the Green New Deal, all that stuff. If not, let us know, because we'll do a show on it and go from there. But I'm pretty sure we've talked about this, especially with the World Economic Forum.
The President's chief of staff is saying it might be a good deal.
Right.
Well, for their agenda.
Right.
And now guess who the number one provider of LPG to Europe is?
It's going to be us. But
it is us.
He cut that. And that's the thing. Is he cut all that, and the natural gas, you know, the oil production, all that, he cut it.
Right. We could be self-sufficient right now if we wanted to be.
Absolutely, we could.
We were before the election.
Yeah, absolutely. And forgive the phrase, but we could be shitting in tall cotton as a nation right now.
Oh yeah.
We wouldn't be dependent on OPEC. We could tell them to jump off a cliff. Right. But all this bull crap has let the world basically run all over us.
I've got a good video about that if you don't mind seeing something from CNBC.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Let's see if I'm smart enough to do this. And I want to share screen. How do I share audio, share system audio? I might be smarter than I thought.
I agree. Yeah. Absolutely agree. Andrea put it was by design.
This actually is pretty good. And we got an ad.
You gotta hold on.
Sorry about the ad, guys.
You have your speakers on?
I shouldn't have my speakers on. Are you hearing an echo?
Could we be heading toward War III? For decades, international relations theory suggested otherwise. For example, some scholars argued that institutions, interdependence, and democracy facilitated cooperation between countries. Economic globalization made armed conflicts just too costly, and nuclear weapons made wars among major powers unthinkable. But our next guest says some of the world's superpowers could be on a collision course. His name is Matthew Krennig. He is the Deputy Director of the Atlantic Council's Scrowcroft Center for Strategy and Security, also professor at Georgetown University, and a sobering op-ed in Foreign Policy magazine that I highly recommend. He wrote, in part, major driving forces of international politics, according to international relations theory, suggests that the new Cold War among the United States, China, and Russia is unlikely to be peaceful. Matthew, why do you think we're heading down this path?
Well, you set it up nicely in the introduction there. When I started in graduate school over 20 years ago, most of the major international relations theories thought the major driving forces were leading to cooperation. And you mentioned them: globalization, nuclear weapons, institutions. But now a lot of those conditions have changed. It's a more multipolar world. The United States is worried about conflict with Russia, China, Iran. These multipolar worlds tend to be unstable, like during World War I. Nuclear weapons may no longer be the dominant military technology, with artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and others maybe putting us on the eve of a new revolution in military affairs. We see the major powers decoupling economically, with sanctions and other things, making them less economically interdependent. And norms that we used to think were putting guardrails on conflict are also unraveling. We see China committing genocide, Russia engaging in wars of aggression. So I think for all these reasons, there's a reason to be concerned that the world is becoming a more conflictual place and a more dangerous place.
All right, that was I think it's a pretty good picture of what's going on. And this is coming from the CNBC, who just goes to prove even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Right. I'm going to share this real quick. This is kind of goes into the Nord Stream a little bit more. It says pipeline sabotage, some leaking stops as Russians and West point fingers all over Nord Stream attack. Danish Energy Agency tweeted Saturday, gas appears to have finished leaking out of the ruptured Nord Stream 2 pipeline, while Nord Stream 1 continues spilling its remaining fuel into the Baltic Sea due to a series of mysterious leaks in the majority Russian-owned natural gas pipelines caused by apparent explosions, which have led Russian and Western officials to accuse each other of sabotage. It's largely Russian-owned. What would and this is what gets me. Okay, let me find which. Yeah. Okay. I got so many pages pulled up. It's not funny. I want to war game this for a second because, here's one. I'll share these real quick so we can get this out of the way. Let's see. Putin accuses West of blowing up pipelines as Europe sets up vigilance. Okay. And then here is the Ukrainian multimedia platform for broadcasting. Okay. UK Renform or whatever. They're saying the Russians did it. Of course, the Ukrainians would say that, or the Ukrainians. Now, this goes back to all the propaganda crap we've been having shoved down our throat here lately.
Right.
And then let's see. They're all pointing fingers at each other. And I think I closed the other one, but even the West is pointing fingers at Russia. Russia is pointing fingers at the West.
Well, how about the obvious solution and say the Ukrainians are doing it?
Right. And I think it's a possibility.
Or Middle Eastern terrorists because they want to stir up a war between us and Russia.
Right.
It could be anybody. Hell, it could have been an accident.
It very well could have, but it's being used as a catalyst right now. And yes, you're absolutely right. As you know, he cut that off playing the global warming cult. Yep, he did. With the oil and the gas. What would it benefit Russia? That's a cash cow for them,
right?
If Russia did it, why? I mean, are they trying to drag it into a war? Are they trying to drag the U.S. in, even though Ukraine is not a NATO ally? Okay, and I'm going to come back and touch on this in a little bit, but it wouldn't benefit Russia to do this. It would be stupid because how much there's tons of money flowing through those pipelines.
Well, here's my thing. I think that Putin is as much a victim of dementia as our president, and we get two guys who don't know what's going on facing off across a world gone mad on purpose. I think it's just two old men whose time has come and gone, causing 9/10 of the problems we've got, while they're dancing to the tune of the World Economic Forum.
Yep.
I think they both are.
I don't disagree with you at all. I do want to play this real quick because it makes perfect sense because even President Biden, excuse me, even President Biden made a comment on it. I think it was Friday, something like that. This is from ABC News. Said President Biden, if Russia invades, then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We'll bring it into it. Okay.
Let me answer the first question first. If
I don't know.
Germany,
You guys hear that?
if Russia invades,
I can hear it.
that means
Okay, I can't hear it.
tanks
That's
and
all right.
troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring it into it.
How will you do that exactly? Since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control.
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Yeah, that's not suspicious at all.
No, I mean, to me, and I'm trying to view this from Putin or one of our enemies. Maybe you call it plain devil's advocate. That is a veiled threat to me.
That is not even a veiled threat. That is just a straight up and down threat.
Right. Anyway, let me get some of this cleared off. Oh, dang it. I closed the wrong one. I'll pull it back up. No big deal. Yeah, and Chris even agrees. She said it's absolutely a threat. And I'm not trying to scare you guys. I'm not trying to make you nervous. I want you to be aware. Really, that's the ultimate idea behind the show, is to help you guys become more aware of the world that's going on. I know everybody seems to avoid the news and avoid trying to figure out, okay, who's right, who's wrong, all that, because it's a lot of work. Believe me, it's a lot of work. I'll admit when I'm wrong. If if you can prove it, by all means, prove it. I would love to know. But that's a threat. Okay. Yeah. Mark put up there, said doomsday clock is at 100 seconds to midnight. Not even a minute and a half to midnight.
Yeah.
And what was it during the Cold War?
7 minutes.
7 minutes. During the heightened tensions between Russia and the United States during the Cold War.
Right.
From the 50s to the late 80s. Was early 90s, I guess. 91 is when the wall came down.
Right. From 2020 to present, it's been at 100 minutes. Or 100 seconds, I mean.
So think about this. Let's just keep going down this road. If it is shown that we had something to do with this pipeline being blown up, that's an act of war.
It is. And the American people will be the ones that end up paying the price for it, for our corrupt government.
Yep.
And make no mistake, both sides are corrupt. Both sides need to be cleared out and voted all new.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody who's been in there for more than 8 years needs to go away. Go retire, get your house in the Hamptons, and shut up and leave the rest of us alone.
Yep, suffer in peace. I don't know. I don't have a lot of sympathy for him, but if this is an act of war, this gives Putin every opportunity, or every reason, I should say, to counterattack.
Yeah, it's a valid reason for war.
Right. But he's also came out and talked about using tactical nukes. Now, absolute worst case scenario, would this lead to nuclear war? I don't know. Chances are it probably wouldn't. But if they use tactical nukes, they could then, our side, unfortunately, our side could say, well, it's going to affect, the fallout is going to affect our allies in NATO. So that is an act of war on us. So they'll go in and help out Ukraine, which leads credence to your argument, Mark. If the Ukraine did it, they're trying to draw us into a war. And Curtis, anyone who's been in office more than 10 years is part of the problem. You are absolutely right, brother.
He gets it.
But either way, they're trying to drag us into a war. If it is Ukraine, they're trying to drag us into war. If Putin uses a tactical nuke, it's going to pull us into a war. So we respond, we take out his bases or whatever, ships in the Baltic or whatever they use. Well, okay, so Putin, I think, is crazy enough to launch another nuke, maybe talk to China, who's also another nuclear power.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing worst case scenario.
They've been making noise about going to war.
Yeah.
They want to attack. They want to punish Taiwan.
Right. Watch them go to Taiwan, another nuclear powered nation. Do you guys see the whole Axis and Allies things being set up? I don't know whose side we're on. I mean, I think they're all evil.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to say I support the United States, but if it comes out that we did it,
I don't see anybody who's in the right now.
No, absolutely not.
I have a hard time seeing who's the good guy and who's the bad guy.
Right. I love my country. Just as I know you guys do. I love my country. I stepped forward and was willing to lay my life down. And I know hundreds of other men and women who are better people than I do, than I am, be willing to do that as well. And I know hundreds of other men and women who would disagree with all this bullcrap. And it pains me to think that our nation could be responsible for World War III. It's been said that if we keep going down this path, the path into darkness, because we know, I mean, anybody that has any foresight can put two and two together and realize we are going down a path of darkness.
Yeah, it ain't a good place.
No, I mean, we're not the shining light on the hill anymore, the shining city on the hill anymore. We are not the nation we grew up in.
No.
As much as it pains me to admit that.
Well, we're so divided.
Yes.
That's another thing. With all the division, does Putin and Sing Sing or whatever his name is in China, I just probably caused a nuclear war. Whatever his name is in China, are they going to see the division in the United States as weakness and think they can just go ahead and do whatever the frig they want?
I think they do.
I think they do. I think they're going to I think they're going to misjudge how weak we really are. I think we're not as strong as we used to be, but I wouldn't want to kick the United States in the proverbial junk right now. Likely to get something they don't want.
Curtis, he says, not to make light of the situation, maybe Kamala convinced our ally, the Republic of North Korea, to help. Well, maybe she could just go over there and stay. I mean,
I don't think she's going to be able to help because Mr. Kim Jong-un can do better. You know how she gets things.
Yep. I wonder if she'd get promoted.
Oh, I am going to hell for that one.
That's all right. I'm going with you.
Oh my God.
But I again, worst case scenario, we back Putin in a corner. If he's already used tactical nukes and we back him to a corner, whether we're using conventional warfare or what have you,
he's going to use it.
If he's already used it, he'll use it again. You're going to force his hand. And then it might be a strike on the continental U.S.
And let's not even talk about the Russian hackers.
Right.
Well, they could, instead of nuking us, they could just wipe out our entire infrastructure over the computer.
Mm-hmm. My wife put, our government is so corrupt that the U.S. we love and cherish is all but gone. And it's all part of the plan, unfortunately.
I think she's absolutely right.
Curtis put, we were all going. I'll bring the beer. I'm going with you, brother. Agreed. Chris put, agreed. It's so sad. Yeah, I don't see a good outcome of this, whether it's conventional or unconventional.
No, I don't know.
Because
And I pray it doesn't happen.
As high as tensions are, it's not going to take much. And that's why I say this is kind of this reminds me of the Reichstag event, or the
Archduke
Ferdinand, Archduke Ferdinand event, because nobody knows who's to blame.
Yeah,
somebody knows who did it.
It's to the point now where even the smallest thing can set it off.
Right.
And we all just need to back away from the edge.
Yeah, absolutely we do. And if we keep going down this path, is what I was trying to get to earlier. If we keep going down this path, this darkness that we all see, and it keeps progressing and getting worse and worse, look what they're trying to do to us.
Yeah.
The citizens, look what the left is, and I'm going to point out the left, because they're driving all this crap to try to break us.
They want to silence us. They want to disarm us. They want to neuter us.
They do, absolutely.
And that's the whole thing about this. A lot of these agendas, they want to emasculate the United States.
They have to, especially this whole World Economic Forum agenda. To get through, they have to disarm us, because they know people are going to rise up.
Yep.
And on a positive note, I don't want to keep this totally negative, but on a positive note, I see people coming together worldwide, not just in the United States, worldwide.
And to an extent, the WEF has walked back some of their more heinous statements. So,
and if you pay attention to the left-wing media, they are pushing, that the right-wing conservatives are, the MAGA supporters are terrorists. Anybody on the right wing is a fascist. Again, they are projecting.
Yeah.
They're projecting what they're doing. And if you look, the number of people that are even left now, I mean, look at Bill Maher. The guy's a blooming idiot, in my opinion. But he's like, no, this ain't right. They're trying to take away our rights across the board.
Like I said, I've even been seeing stuff on CNN, MSNBC. People are starting to get it on both sides, and so they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to do something drastic, or they're going to lose. And I think this is what this is all about.
Yeah, and vote. By all means, vote.
Yes, especially for your local elections.
Local is important. Curtis, Progressive has been trying to neuter the country since Woodrow Wilson. You're absolutely right. I watched something today, and I want to do some more looking into.
Who wrote the new history books that all of our history books now are based on?
Yep, he was part of it. He was big with Darwin and all that. Yep.
Yeah. He was actually a scholar before he was president.
Right. Yeah, my wife put the right versus left is just to cause more division. You are absolutely right. But I believe that people are starting to see through that. Or wait. We can agree on this? Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to people who go, what? But you're conservative. How can we agree?
Right.
Because we're not as different as the TV makes you want us to think.
What do they call TV shows? Programs.
They're programs. They are.
What do they do to you? They program you.
That's what they're using it for.
I mean, think about it. Do your own research, guys.
People are starting to look. I could be wrong
They
about half the crap I'm spouting out. You need to go look.
Right?
You
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
need to go look.
Fact check us by a reputable fact checker, not like Snopes and all that
Well,
crap. I mean, do
Let me
your
throw
own
this
research.
out here. Let me throw this out here, just to prove to you how much you need to fact check me. Never trust it when I give you a number. Never trust me when I tell you right or left or north or south. All right? Because
In other
I'm
words,
dyslexic. And yeah. The words. The word
don't take directions
salad
from Mark.
comes out. Yeah. So do your own research, people. Look into this. Make up your own mind. I'm not going to do your thinking for you. That's not my job.
Right. And I know our listeners, I know they are that we are speaking to, preaching to the choir, so to speak. But please, if you're new, especially if you're new listening to this, by all means, fact check us. By all means, do your own research. Mark and I are on here for roughly an hour and a half a show. Not near enough time to explain this whole topic or any topic we do in depth.
And we work 6 days a week, sometimes 7, 10 hours a day, and we don't have a lot of time to do our own research.
Right.
We do the best we can, but we're just a couple guys.
Right. We have day jobs that take up a lot of our nighttime and all that crap. My wife they use all of the media to desensitize us so we won't think any of this is a big deal, when in reality it is. Absolutely right. I agree. Yeah, man. I mean, please fact check us. Do your own research. We invite you to. I won't judge you if you say, "Hey, dumbass, you're wrong." That's fine. I want to be told I'm wrong.
Send me
I hope I'm wrong with a lot of this crap.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point.
We're both a little conspiracy minded, my friend.
I'm not a little. And the problem is, I don't even know that it's a problem, because a lot of the crap that we've talked about, you're absolutely right, Curtis. Sadly, sheeple don't believe in research. If you haven't, Kurt, go back and listen to our NPC episodes, especially on this show. And it was like a whole shift in my paradigm when I heard the stuff we threw out in that show. It blew my mind, and it explained everything. So do me a favor and go back and listen to it if you haven't listened to it or watched it.
My wife has it right. Yeah,
absolutely. Conspiracy isn't conspiracy when it's true. But how many things have we talked about either on here or just at work or just shooting the breeze?
Have turned out
that's come true.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a prophet. I can put two and two together.
Stuff we were talking about before the election. If this happens, this is what's going to happen. And it happened. And everybody goes, "Oh my God, we didn't see that coming."
How can you not?
You had your head so far up your ass, you can look at you do some dental work. I'm sorry. Pardon my French.
You're getting a little racy over there, Mark. You need to calm it down.
I'm going to get his banned from the internet.
No, that's all right. We're on that list anyway. We're just going down the road waiting on the pothole to break
FBI's
off.
going to come knocking on our doors here in a second.
Probably so.
Hey,
well, they go ahead.
I missed supper, so if you're from the NSA, I like my pizza with extra cheese and pepperoni.
Chris told you to chill.
If it shows up at my door, I'll know you're listening.
Yeah, who says we can't have fun talking about the world ending? I mean,
man, if we didn't have a sense of humor, I would just spend most of my time huddling in the corner going.
Usually that's gas.
No, I usually own up to that.
Yeah. You know, all this doom and gloom that we're spouting, you know. Anyway, I remember the point I was trying to make a while back, but we keep going down the rabbit hole again. I mean, we haven't had a good rabbit hole show in a long time.
We really haven't. I love those.
You know, as dark as we're getting, I heard somebody say that if we continue down this path, we're going to make the Nazis look like romper room.
And it's true. I mean, we've got the technology.
Uh-huh. I seen the Fed is talking about testing the social credit system that we've been talking about for a while.
Yeah.
You see it all come into play. We've talked about it with the World Economic Forum. We've seen it all come into play right now. They're talking about digital U.S. currency. They're talking about socialized, I just said it, social credit.
Just like China,
Yep.
who was busy
Yeah,
killing
Kurt-
off a whole people.
Yeah. Kurt said they saw it coming, yet did nothing, just like Germany and the Weimar Republic. Absolutely. And he said that's what the left wants. Yep. You're absolutely right, man.
Yeah,
You
talk
found
about
a home,
runaway
my
inflation.
friend.
We've talked about that before.
Yep. And I don't think we're far from it, man.
You will still find homes in Germany where they were wallpapered in the worthless money of the Weimar Republic.
Yep.
Literally took a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a loaf of bread, and they paid you 2 or 3 times a day because the value of the money changed that much during the day.
Now,
It'll be
I
so much
heard,
easier with digital dollars.
yeah, they can control you. Oh, wait a minute. You've had how many burgers this month? Well, no, you can't have that. It's bad for you.
You can only have crickets.
Oh, wait a minute. You want to buy this gun? No, you can't do that.
No, we're not making
even
it
if,
illegal. We're just making it so you can't spend your own money.
right. It all goes back to what we talked about a while back. And that's just what's going on here. That's not talking about the actual subject we've been talking about tonight. That has nothing to do with World War III.
Although it can lead to it.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, I think it would lead to a, how do I say this without getting flagged?
I've already got us flagged, man.
On the list, but I think I'm thinking I had to say this. I'll just come out and say it. Everything they're pushing, I think they're pushing towards a civil war. They want it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can come down on us. Those people who don't agree with them, they can come down on us. And then say, hey, look, this is why we need to ban guns.
Put us into concentration camps and put us all to death. That's what they want.
Right. Aside from the Constitution saying the opposite.
Yep, they want to do away with the Constitution. They've come out and flat out said it.
Right.
So,
my wife put Bill Gates has been experimenting with implanted chips in people in Africa that will go hand in hand with the social credit system. I think you're probably onto something.
And he also got in trouble for putting vaccines out that sterilized a percentage of the population.
Right. Some of this stuff I don't know that I want to share on here that I've looked into, and I'm like, man, I don't know. It could literally be on the fringe.
Yes, some
of how things are tied together. If you guys have listened to the show for a while, Mark and I have talked about, man, this is all connected. Everything is connected on all of our fringe topics and all that. And you've noticed a lot of the topics we've talked about on the fringe are bleeding over. Think about that. They're tying together. Is this, I don't know what to call this. I don't know if it's supernatural or my thought process is changing, or if I'm looking at it through a different lens now with some of the things that I've looked into and been down, that we've talked about,
I think that's likely.
or how, I mean, and I don't want to go a lot into it because people will be like, you're just freaking crazy.
Well, I
But
think
many
we're
of you-
absolutely in a spiritual war, though.
Oh, we absolutely are. Anybody that I have talked to, at the Paracon, I was talking to Christy, and we got to get her on, man. We got to get her on now that we can do this.
Yes.
She is such an awesome person. She's fun to talk to, and she is just an amazing person.
I've never met anybody sweeter.
Yeah,
honestly.
she's awesome. I mean, last year, I wish the audio would have been better from last year's Paracon, but it blew my mind. And I got to get my wife on with her to let her do a reading on my wife. Speaking of my wife, she said he's talking about Bill Gates, said he's all about depopulation. But yes, I absolutely believe, and I even talked to some of the people there at the Paracon, and they're like, yes, we are absolutely in a spiritual battle. This isn't right or left. This is good and evil.
Yeah, it's absolutely good or evil. And both sides are sliding down that road of darkness.
Well, the empathy is not there for people anymore.
No.
I'm guilty of it. I'll be the first to raise my hand. I'm guilty of it. I'm not proud of it because people don't trust people anymore, and that's why you and I talk a lot about community.
You got to have people you have your back.
Right. And this is kind of where I want to segue into, we've talked about the possibility of nuclear war. Do I think it's likely? No, but it's a possibility.
I give it 70-30 against.
I would
30 is
probably
still
say
a lot higher than I like.
Mm-hmm. But I want to go into this, and this, I mean, as much as I don't know if we can really trust it, but it's like the only information I could really find. And bam, FEMA. Woohoo!
Well, I mean, they've got some good ideas. I mean,
they're
I'm not going to lie. I've got the FEMA preparedness thing for disasters pinned to our Facebook group. They, like I say, even a broken clock's worth right twice a day.
Hey, Oracles, how are you doing? Yeah, but let's just run down this list and kind of talk through it. With everything that's going on, I think it's good to kind of, at least, I think we've talked about this before, like early on, but I think we need to refresh. Be prepared for nuclear explosion. I mean, that's obviously is what we're talking about. It says the bright flash can cause temporary blindness for less than a minute. The blast wave can cause death, injury, damage to structure several miles out from the blast. Radiation can damage cells of the body. Large exposures can cause radiation sickness. Fire and heat can cause death, burn injuries, and damage to structure several miles out. EMPs, okay, we talked about EMP shield early on. Yep. Can damage electronics several miles out from the detonation and cause temporary disruptions further out. Fallout is radioactive visible dirt and debris raining down that can cause sickness to those who are outside. It says fallout is more dangerous in the first few hours after the detonation when it is giving off the highest levels of radiation. It takes time for fallout to arrive back to ground level, often more than 15 minutes for areas outside of the immediate blast damage zones. This is enough time for you to be able to prevent significant radiation exposure by following these simple steps. Real quick. Empathy has been a victim of smartphones and now of the lockdowns. I would argue the mass shootings are a side effect of the destruction. That's a pretty good argument. I would agree.
And the ignoring of mental health.
Yes. All right. Get inside. Get inside the nearest building. Avoid radiation. Break your concrete or best. Remove contaminated clothing and wipe off or wash unprotected skin if you're outside after the fallout arrived. Go to the basement or middle of the building. Stay away from the outer walls and roof. Okay, fair enough. Stay inside for 24 hours unless local authorities provide other instructions. Families should stay where they are inside, reunite later to avoid exposure to dangerous radiation. Keep pets inside. Well, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, because
I
you
would
don't
have a
want them bringing
hard
it in.
right. I would have a hard time if my family is inside, especially with little kids,
Yeah.
because if something this serious is going on, they're going to be panicking. That's just human nature. I mean, that's kids. Stay tuned. Tune in to any media available for official information, such as when it is safe to exit and where you should go. Battery operated to hand crank radios will function after a nuclear detonation. And cell phone, text message, television, internet services may be disrupted or unavailable.
I'm going to make a comment right here. I think this is probably trustworthy because I'm old enough to remember the nuclear war scares and stuff from when I was a kid, and a lot of this information is just updated from civil defense documents that were out at that time. So I'm going to tell you that this is probably pretty accurate. Go ahead. You might turn your mic on.
Why did I mute it? How to stay safe in the event of nuclear explosion. What to do now? Prepare. Identify shelter locations. Identify the best shelter location near where you spend a lot of time, such as home, work, and school. The best locations are underground and in the middle of larger buildings. I don't know that I would go to the bathroom at work. I wouldn't want to be stuck in that place for 24 hours with those jackasses.
No, especially not with me. I'm gassy. I don't want to be in a room with me.
I mean, it's bad enough during a tornado drill because there's always some guy in there dropping a deuce.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to go back there anyway, you might as well get your business taken care of, right?
I know it.
I get it.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to get that crude, but says while commuting, identify appropriate shelters to seek in the event of detonation. Outdoor areas, vehicles, and mobile homes do not provide adequate shelter. Look for basements or the center of a large multi-story building.
It just comes to mind right now, all those portable backyard tornado shelters with a proper stock of food and water would be perfect for this.
Yeah.
Throw in some air filtration on the vent and you got it covered for 20. I mean, if it's 24 hours.
Yeah. Again, that's where the whole food preparedness thing comes in.
Yeah.
Make sure you have an emergency supply. Hi, Dance. How are you? Make sure you have an emergency supply kit for places you frequent and might have to stay for 24 hours. It should include bottled water, packaged foods, emergency medicines, hand crank or battery-powered radio to get information in case power's out. A flashlight and extra batteries for essential items, if possible. Store supplies for 3 or more days. So a good get-home bag.
Yeah.
Everybody say hi to Dance 87. They are new here. Welcome and subscribe. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Cool.
You're a dancer. All right. Awesome. Glad to have you.
That they've got talent because I do not. I am very glad to see that.
Let's see now what to do during. If warned of an imminent attack, immediately get inside the nearest building and move away from windows. This will help provide protection from the blast, heat, and radiation of the detonation. If you are outdoors when a detonation occurs, take cover from the blast behind anything you might offer protection. Lie face down to protect exposed skin from the heat and flying debris. If you are in a vehicle, stop safely and duck down within the vehicle. Yeah, that would say depending on how close you are to the blast.
Right.
I mean, one of the most surreal things I've ever seen was in Hiroshima at the museum in Peace Park. There was actually a literal brick wall. I need to find my pictures. I really do. I don't even have a clue as
There's
to
some
where they've
good
been.
pictures of that online. I've looked them up.
But there's a brick wall. They said it used to be part of a bank. And when the blast went off, there was somebody waiting on the bank to open, and it literally burnt their shadow into the wall. There was nothing but dust left.
Yeah. Just as a point of fact, a modern Geiger counter, radiation dose meter, $20 on eBay right now.
It wouldn't hurt to have.
It wouldn't hurt to have. Throw it in your emergency kit. An EMF meter, electromagnetic radiation detector, Geiger counter combo.
It wouldn't hurt to have. Let's see. So after the shockwave passes, get inside the nearest best shelter location for protection from potential fallout. You'll have 10 minutes or more to find an adequate shelter. Be inside before fallout arrives. The highest outdoor radiation levels from fallout occur immediately after the fallout arrives and then decrease with time. Stay tuned for updated instructions from emergency response officials. If advised to evacuate, listen for information about routes, shelters, and procedures. If you have evacuated, do not return until you're told it's safe to do so by local officials. Then it says what to do after. Immediately after you're inside shelter, if you may have been outside after the fallout arrived, remove your outer layer of contaminated clothing to remove fallout and radiation from your body. Take a shower or wash with soap and water to remove fallout from any skin or hair that was not covered. If you cannot wash or shower, use a wipe or clean wet cloth to wipe any skin or hair that was not covered. Clean any pets that were outside after the fallout arrived. Gently brush your pet's coat to remove any fallout particles and wash your pet with soap and water if available. It is safe to eat or drink packaged food items or items that were inside the building. Do not consume food or liquids that were outdoors uncovered and may be contaminated by fallout. If you are sick or injured, listen for instructions on how and where to get medical attention when your authorities tell you it's safe to exit. That's pretty much it on
I'm
that.
add one more thing to that. There is a good use for all those useless masks you bought during COVID. Put them in your kit because the particles from the fallout will be large enough for your paper mask to actually protect your lungs somewhat. Not 100%, but it's better than nothing. And it's a whole lot more effective than it was against a virus.
Yeah. I've seen where people have taken activated charcoal and take two masks and put them in between and then tape them off to give a good seal.
Yeah, that works.
You know, I mean, and iodine, my wife put up there something a little while. That's why we have iodized salt.
That is why you have iodized salt. That's the whole reason why they mandated iodized salt. Was because the extra iodine in your diet makes you more resistant to radiation poisoning.
Yep.
So I think you can still buy iodine tablets for that purpose.
Yes, I'm pretty sure you can. But really, I mean, if you have a good get home bag or a 3-day bag, that should have that stuff in it. You know, your wipes, your extra clothing, especially store your extra clothing in a dry bag, you know, a good plastic bag or something like that. That way it's covered too. If you have to get it out, you know, if you get into shelter, which I kind of have some issues with it, but that's probably going to be your best option is to get indoors. I mean, I don't have an issue with getting indoors, but finding a safe space to get indoors, that's, you know, like my house. My house was built in like 1850. It's drafty. You know, so if my house, we'd have to tape everything up. If, you know, we'd have like 10 minutes to do it. I mean,
your FEMA kit says you should have duct tape and plastic.
Right. I mean, I guess you could cordon off a room. Yeah, 1885. Sorry. 1885. My wife said. But either way, it's drafty. Drafty is all get out. And a lot of homes around here are old.
Yeah.
They're drafty, unless they've been really
Modernized.
remodeled seriously.
Yeah.
And modernized. Yeah.
Potassium iodide tablets are available from campingsurvival.com for 60 count bottle, $8.95. So there's no reason you cannot add that to your get home bag. There's no reason why you can't add that to your home kit. It ain't gonna nothing.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that works for
wouldn't hurt.
dirty palms too.
Yep. Not only that, but the iodide tablets can also purify water.
Also true.
So there's more than one use for those, and they're good to have. I think I've actually got some in my pack. I'd have to look, but simple things, and Mark and I we've pushed preparedness, 3-day kits, bug out bags, this and that. They should all have essentially the same things in it. It just depends on how much.
Yeah, I've got one in my car right now.
Extra set of clothes, duct tape, gloves, safety glasses, extra food. Ration bars are small. They don't take up a lot of space. The freeze dried food you can buy it at Walmart. In the camping section, you get Mountain House Foods. Something that just add water to. You don't, and that's the cool thing is you don't have to boil the water. If you have like a fresh supply of water and no way to heat it, which you should have a fire starter, you can just put water in it.
Yeah.
And it'll absorb. You'll be able to eat it. And that's what you're more worried. Are you? Yes, good tasting food is good for morale. But if you're in a survival situation to where you need the calories, don't wait for it to warm up. You're wasting resources.
Yeah. Yeah, ramen, if you leave it setting in cold water long enough, will soak it up and be edible.
Right. That's just something to think about.
$20.
That's your water filter?
My water filter. And I think it says 10,000 gallons of water it'll filter. You can throw one in your pack, throw one in your car.
Yep. Always good to have. If
have
you guys want to
several
know, what's that?
I think I have several now.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple.
Not as good as that one, but
yeah, we've got some life straws. I've got one like that in my pack. Water's, you got to have water. Got to have water, especially when it's 110 degrees outside, like it was this past summer.
yeah.
If you guys want to see our bags, whatever, shoot us a message. We've got some videos up here on YouTube. Early on when we started this, we did some. They're kind of bad,
but they're complete.
But they're complete. It shows you step by step on how to build bags. We didn't finish some of. I think we started with the get home bag, and we kind of went overboard with that. And it's easy to do. But thankfully, one of the subscribers that were watching it said, "Hey guys, you guys are building like a true bug out bag, not like a get home bag. Get home bag is intended to get home." You're right.
You know what?
But
I should bring mine in and take it apart and video that for our listeners to look at. I'm really proud of it. I've got quite a bit of stuff in it.
Yep.
And it's small. It's literally, it's about that big.
Yep. You can get you a good day bag.
Yeah.
You don't need a lot of room.
I've just got a single shoulder sling bag. It holds most of everything I'm going to need.
Right.
Enough to get home.
All in all, you guys do your research. If you have any questions, shoot us a direct message, ask us on our Facebook group, What If Tomorrow podcast group. Shoot us an email, whatiftomorrowpc@gmail.com. We'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have. I mean, if we don't know, we'll do our damnedest to find the answer for you.
And there are online resources running out the wazoo.
Yep.
So there's no reason.
My Patriot Supply also has an awesome blog. They talk preparedness situations. They kind of give updates to the news and what's going on, and all that. My wife put up there. We can redo the videos. Maybe I can show other moms what to carry for my kids and myself. So if you're listening to this and that's something you want to hear and see, let us know. I mean, we'd be happy to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to cost a ton of money.
No, we did it on a budget and we didn't spend a lot of money.
Like $20 a paycheck was what we tried to keep it under. I went over like one time.
Yep.
It's only because I like knives.
Yep. But knives are good to have. So I don't have a lot more, Mark. I really don't, unless you do.
I really don't. I think we've kicked this horse pretty good.
Well, good. You guys be on the lookout for Wednesday's show. We had a serious show tonight, and I think this is going to be the norm. We're going to kind of have more of a serious show on Monday nights. The Wednesday night shows, we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about fringe stuff. I mean, hence the name on the fringe,
Stuff that I enjoy looking into, not this. I did not enjoy any of this research.
No, but I feel that we need to get this information out for those that listen to the show, but don't really, dig into the news and all that. And maybe they're busy like us, and we just take the time to put two and two together and kind of explain our thought process.
It's something people need to think about.
Yeah, absolutely they do. But if you think this stuff through, you're not going to have a warm fuzzy. I promise you. And I'm not trying to bring you down. That's not the intent. It's just to inform you, to hopefully prod you enough to go look up and say, what are these guys talking about? You know what I'm talking about? I mean, that's my intent.
Well,
is to say these guys.
Here's the deal. If you prepare and don't need it, then great. I sincerely hope that is what's going on. But if you don't prepare and do need it, you're totally jonesed.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Hey, Majin. We got some new faces here tonight. We've seen several.
I know, it's kind of cool to see all the new faces here.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you guys are coming and checking us out. I think Oracle's shared it because she was on a little bit earlier, and I appreciate that. By all means, keep a lookout because probably here in a couple weeks. Man, I just drew a blank. Hey, that's the first one of the show. I'm doing good. Here in a couple weeks. We're going to be going live with Odd House. Mark and I were just kind of talking. We want to get somebody on. I got to message them to get them on to record our first episode. For starters, at least the first few episodes are going to be pre-recorded for Odd House because, like I've told you guys before, we are actually going to be doing a third show, and we're hoping to have just guests. That's all it's going to be because that way it kind of relieves Mark and I a little bit because we're not having to do so much research. And if we have a guest, we can ask them the questions. So I've got several guests we want to get on, and we're going to push to get on. And we're still going to try to get guests on these shows as well too. But we just haven't been doing it as much here lately because, last month was stupid busy. So we're going to be working on that. And if you guys know somebody that likes what we talk about, recommend us to them. And if you know somebody that has some knowledge that would fit with the show, by all means, recommend them to us. Talk to them. Say, hey,
we'd love to have them on.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to these guys and say, hey, or talk to them and say, hey, these guys have this podcast, and I think you'd be a good fit for it. By all means. I mean, man, this is your show, guys.
Yeah.
Mark and I do this every day at the toolbox. This is your show. This is for your information, for your entertainment. This is for you to have fun. Not necessarily this show, but
If you're
it's
an
for you
expert in one of
to,
our subjects,
yeah, reach out
get
to
on
us.
here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, send us an email.
We'll
What
be
if
happy to.
tomorrow PC@gmail.com.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know. We don't know, Major. It says
Hopefully
how
never.
long until Putin starts dropping nukes? Not that educated on the war. Hopefully never. Yeah, like Mark said. Hopefully never. I don't know. I don't know if he's getting backed into a corner. A lot of it has to do with this pipeline that blew up, I think. Are we looking at a black swan event? I think so. Everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else, and I think it's going to just make that hair trigger even that much lighter, if that makes sense. So yeah, you guys definitely think about these things. If you got questions, whatever, by all means, email us, whatiftomorrowpc@gmail.com. If you got recommendations, by all means, reach out to us. We love talking to you. Yeah, what I was saying earlier, look out for next Wednesday for Wednesday's show on the Fringe. We'll be back here. We're going to talk about the most haunted places in the world and in the United States. It's going to be a fun show. Wednesdays,
awesome.
I think, are going to be our kind of relief shows to kind of get away from this, because this is heavy. And believe it or not, it weighs on us. It's hard to do shows like this, but we enjoy it. But we enjoy the fun stuff too.
Yeah.
So that's
I
why
like
we
to
split it
cut
up
up.
into two
I take
shows.
this stuff seriously.
Yep.
Because if you can't laugh,
Absolutely.
what's the point?
Yep. With that being said, y'all, thank you so much for jumping on and joining us. We'd love to have you guys back if you're new here. For the ones that have been here for a while, we absolutely enjoy having you too. So do us a favor, keep coming back, help us grow. If you know somebody that's into these types of topics, preparedness for this show, what if tomorrow? If you're into this type of stuff, by all means, recommend us to your friends and all that stuff. Go to iTunes, wherever you consume your podcasts, whether it be iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, all that. Rate and review us. And then also on Facebook, on YouTube, rate and review us on there. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Help us grow the channel. We would appreciate any help that you guys can give us. That being said, we appreciate your time again, and we will catch you next episode.
Good night, folks.